This is for Module 4, School Law. Search and Seize, and the main topic here will be cell phones here at Garden Plain High School. In this examination, we'll go through the definition. Is the examination or taking control of a person's property by force or violence? We're talking about cell phones, so hopefully we don't have to get to the point where it's force or violence, but I'm sure that in some schools or some cases there has been that part or that case. Law enforcement officials investigate a crime and then taking the item for that evidence. If it's something obviously like a knife or drugs or something that might be threatening or creating an unsafe environment, which I'll say multiple times throughout this presentation, it is something to be considered of when force or violence needs to be used, or law enforcement. Most of the times we can handle these issues here at school just with our administration and teachers. The law states that courts will commonly support schools' decisions on the ban of cell phones. Obviously we've had to tailor and alter our rules and laws, or not laws, but our rules over the years because of the more common practice. But courts have supported in New York and New Jersey and other states. I believe Missouri is another one where lawsuits have been brought up, and the schools are always supported by the courts because they want to create, once again, that safe environment. And that goes to my next part, where support from the courts recognize that if it's a practice that prohibits or disrupts any learning in the educational process, then it should be prohibited. So no matter what, if it's an iPod, MP3 player, small radio, or some type of electronic device, it could even just be something that's disruptive, such as what they're wearing. I know in bigger schools, hair is color or styles might be of an issue, and here we've kind of clamped down on those things. We're a smaller school, and it might be more disruptive to kids in our school who maybe, I don't want to say, but I guess you kind of say, or a little more sheltered from that and don't see a lot of that, so it might be more disruptive. So that's why it is kind of something that would be brought up. A few years ago, we had a kid who wore a kilt, 2 or 3 times a week, and it got to a point where it didn't really affect me. I don't think it even affected the kids because the kids knew that type of kid or knew what type of kid he was, and I don't think he was doing it for attention. That's just kind of who he was. But administration felt like it was something that could be a disruption, so they kind of came to a compromise with that student and decided that maybe you should just wear it maybe once every week or once every 2 weeks. And they worked something out with him, and the kid was very understanding about that. The next thing we'll do is description of the search and seize. It's giving up all things: documents, books, papers, other tangible objects and information. I kind of grew up. I've been teaching for 15 years. My wife's taught for 10, 12 years. My father-in-law has been a superintendent for, I think, 30 to 35 years. And my thought, as well as others, when you walk in the school, you lose some of your privileges, your rights. And that kind of goes into the fact where we called it the dead zone, the place where you come in here, you don't have all the rights. You can't say the things that you will be able to say out in public because of creating that opportunity to learn. And when there's some type of disruption or distraction, it does that, which leads to the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Unions, believe that schools shouldn't be able to consider a dead zone when it comes to students' privacy and be able to search unreasonable. And that's the big thing, is being able to search unreasonably. We're not walking up and down for the most part and checking every student out, because we don't have the time. But we also, most of the kids, especially in these smaller schools, the kids. There's no evidence unless it has been brought to you by other teachers, other students, multiple times, even for that matter, before you have to really investigate. We've had instances of recent where kids were smoking the e-cigarettes, and we had to eventually investigate that and found out that yes, they were, and we handled those means, but we had to confiscate those things and take them and use them for evidence, obviously against them. Causes for shirts. The most common is reasonable grounds. Once again, if a teacher, a student, other students, see or hear of these, it's kind of one of those things. You got to check up and follow up on those things to see if it's necessarily true. School officials have the authority to keep a safe environment, also for productive learning, and that's what I kind of said earlier. It is our job to provide that opportunity for the students to have a safe environment, and whether it's uh, disruption of cell phones, buzzing in class, ringing in class, kids texting, listening to music, whatever it might be that's distracting, maybe not just to them but to others as well. Students should not take offense to having their personal rights in school. They don't have all the rights when they come in here, and that's part of it. We're trying to have an opportunity for these kids to learn, and they shouldn't take offense, and I don't think most of them do, but there are a few, and that's where they need to understand that we're trying to create a learning environment for all. We'll talk about cell phones in the past here at Garden Plain High School as well as our district. Our district, when it first started getting cell phones, or when the students started getting the cell phones, we didn't allow them. We were, confiscate them right away. We take them to the office. Parents had to come and get them. The more and more that students possessed them, the rules had to be altered because they were texting between classes, during class. Got to go to the bathroom. When they go to the bathroom, they take their phones with them and they text, and they still do that, but it's one of those things where we had to alter, and we couldn't just constantly confiscate 50 cell phones a day because everybody had them and everybody was doing it. So we had to alter some things to give them some opportunities that they needed, or not necessarily opportunities, but a little bit of a compromise. It was to the point where we were so strict that it was working against us. The kids, it's one of those things they kind of probably got what they needed or what they wanted with the numbers. Today's rules on the phones here at Garden Plain High School. Students are allowed to use cell phones before and after school and between classes and lunch. Those are the times they can use them. And you will see it when you're walking down the halls. We have even a little store where kids can go in and get drinks and snacks in between classes, and they're in there texting, whatever it might be, surfing the internet, checking scores on ESPN. But that's their opportunity, and that's their time frame to do that. With all the new apps on smartphones, they can be used in individual teachers' discretion. There's multiple times that I, as well as my wife, who's an English teacher, who she allows kids to use them for dictionaries to look up words, it's a great tool, especially with nowadays when we're struggling with finances and providing every student with those types of things such as iPads. We don't have those. Every student doesn't have a one-to-one computer. So if they have those resources, why not be able to use them? And then going to the discipline, as a district, it is up to the individual school. Our school, I would think, not necessarily as lenient, but obviously not in the classroom. It's up to the individual teacher. But I know in our same district, Andale High School, they've kind of limited to no cell phones at all, and I think it's become a little bit of a headache because they're policing everything in between classes, in class, lunchtime. And I think they have a good thought and good mindset there, but the thing is, it's a beast of a thing to try to control. Getting caught in my class, and these are kind of, every teacher has some type of rule. My wife, is very strict about no texting, none of that unless it's opened. When you can do it, you can do it. My class, first offense, teacher takes it away, which is me, and you can pick it up after class. I'm not too strict on the first offense. Second offense, same person. You're going to have to pick it up after school in the office, and I'm going to give it to the principal, and they have to pick it up after school, and I'm going to give them a 30-minute detention. The third offense, teachers take it in, or I will take it into the parent, and then have to pick it up at the office. The parent has to pick it up, and then they'll get a 3-hour detention on Saturday, and no student wants that, but it does occur. Negatives of having a cell phone is the big one, and we've all heard the negatives, whether it be at the high school level, collegiate level, or even just socially, as a social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everybody wants to post their thoughts. Um, they don't want to go out and say it person to person, so let's just go ahead and tweet it. I think that's something that we've all at least heard about. Getting out of class to text, that's another thing that's always irritated me. They got to go to the bathroom. Well, the reason they go to the bathroom is so they can text, tweet, and Instagram, all those things that are very common, and there's even more, I'm sure, besides those big three. Facebook's even kind of an old one nowadays. Teachers in schools, I think, now need to know how to teach students to use cell phones and technology. We have these smartphones. We have these opportunities for these kids to, help us even at the school, because, we have budget cuts every year, and, we're not able to go with laptops or one-to-one initiatives with computers or laptops. And so if they're able to use their phones in a positive manner in the classroom, I think we should take that opportunity and have those kids provide us with those resources. Those are good resources to have, and if they have them and they're used positively and used in a positive manner, then I think we should be able to have those students do that. Positives of having a cell phone. Obviously, those apps. My wife, being an English teacher, there's dictionary apps. There's being able to just get on the internet. Then the updates, whether it be the media, we can get those updates. We have not really a cafeteria. We have a store, a school store that's ran by an entrepreneur class, and they sell drinks, beverages, like food, snacks, and stuff that kids can have in between classes. And they post on Twitter and their Facebook accounts of sales or bargains, or even promoting a concert that might be coming up, or a play that might be coming up. Those types of things are good for kids to see, because that's where they're at most of the time, is on the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook. Like I said, once again, dictionaries and search engines, where it comes back to being able to help the students in the classroom. If we don't have enough resources or technology in the classroom, if the kids have it at hand, let's take those opportunities and use it. And then the last thing, like I said, school activities such as scores of games, times of concerts, etc. We constantly are posting and trying to stay up on things, whether it be coming with those school activities, times of games, scores of games as well. In conclusion, my view on cell phones, I think they're good as long as we can use them in a positive manner. I like them. Being a coach, I've been able to text my players, special things that they need to bring, or when we're going to meet. And all those kids, they pop back. If you call them, they won't answer the phone, but if you text them, they're gonna text you back in a matter of seconds. I had to put my wife's view of cell phones, because she's had positive and negative things, and it's always good to see different people's views. But she becomes irritated when kids, and it's usually the same kids that are constantly getting them out for the wrong uses. And as long as they're using them positively, I think that's a good thing. But like I said, it's always the same ones that they just can't resist. And the last thing is others' views on cell phones. There are many people who are, we are the world of technology and social media, and I think we have to embrace that. And if we don't, we're only going to fall behind, and we need to keep up with those students as well as others. Thank you.